Welcome back to the Daily Vent. This note is very short. What is true alpha? Showing him who's boss, or simply being a boss, right? So this was like true alpha or alpha male or whatever. This was probably like a peak trend word in like 2022, maybe 2023, maybe 2021, somewhere around like the last few years. I think alpha male sloganry was probably pretty popular. What is true alpha? What does it mean to be true alpha? And cause kind of, it seems almost like there's this interesting, there's like a trend on YouTube right now, and I kind of want to do an episode about this later on, but it's like this, I think that the word is nihilism. Talked about this in a previous episode. Nihilism. Philosophy, the doctrine that nothing actually exists or that existence or values are meaningless. Relentless negativity or cynicism suggesting an absence of values or beliefs. Political belief or action that advocates or commits violence or terrorism without discerning constructive goals. Nihilism is a philosophical belief that argues life lacks inherent meaning, purpose, or value. It often rejects metaphysical beliefs, moral principles, and social constructs, asserting that existence is ultimately devoid of significance. So nihilism might not be the right word. Maybe pessimism is what define pessimism. A tendency to stress the negative or unfavorable, or to take the gloomiest possible view. Tendency to stress the negative or unfavorable. So, like, to stress the negative, like, we'll stick with that. There might be other. Well, I mean, like, so the doctrine or belief that this is the worst of all possible worlds, and that all things ultimately tend toward evil. So, like, part of this is true in a way, in the sense that, like, the world is inherently sinful, but, like, at the same time, it doesn't mean that we should be, like, depressed. You know what I mean? Like, so it's, you gotta, like, have the right belief system. The doctrine or belief that this is the worst of all possible worlds, and that all things ultimately tend toward evil. The doctrine or belief that the evil in the world outweighs the good. So again, what's true about a perspective like that is that, like, you know, like, when it's like be in the world but not of it, it's like the world is evil in the sense that the worldliness, right? Like the worldliness from a biblical perspective, like the world, like, is an evil place, right? And in the sense that there might be more evil happening than good happening in the world, that may also be true. But in the end, God wins. And so, like, you know, good, and God is good. God will win out, or God has won and will win in the end, right? Ultimately, God's will be done. So, like, it's important to, like, just because there might be something that's kind of true about a specific viewpoint doesn't mean that it's all true. Like, you have to, like, discern what is true and what is not. But I'm going to stick with that first definition. It kind of best talks about what I'm trying to say, I guess. So, pessimism, a tendency to stress the negative or unfavorable, or to take the gloomiest possible view. It seems like there's this trend I'm seeing on YouTube where there'll be, like, I don't know if you want to use the term video essays, or just videos that are talking about something, whether it's like a certain person or group of people or movement or ideology, and it seems like it's always like they lied to you, or this person is a scammer, or this person lied to you, or that person is a monster, or this person is evil, or, you know, like, there's like this trend of, like, where people are trying to, like, there's this exposing trend where people want to expose people for being bad actors, and some of them might actually be bad. Like let's, like, give credit where credit is due. Like, some of these videos might be right, but it feels like there's this vibe on the internet, specifically YouTube right now, where it's almost like we can't have nice things vibe, in the sense that it's almost like people are looking for the reason to expose somebody, or people are looking for something bad about somebody or everybody or whatever. And it's like there's this bent in the mentality that it's like people are pessimistic. Like there's like an inherent pessimism that like nothing can ever be good with anybody. And like there's nobody that's just like good. And I mean, like, ultimately in a way that's true, because one second. So Bible verse, no one is good but God. Okay, remembered my ESV. Oh, but it's just listed all of them. Where is it at now? And Jesus said to him, why do you call me good? No one is good except God alone. So I don't know if I understand the full context of this verse. No one is good except God alone. So I could be wrong in how I'm interpreting this. But essentially it's like, I don't even know if I want to get into the theological explanation of it, because I don't necessarily know enough about it to explain it properly. But what I will say is that when it comes to everybody who is not the Lord Jesus Christ, like who is not God, right? So all humans, created humans, you know, like we are sinful. We are in sin and we need a savior, right? And so as a result of being tainted by sin, you know, that makes us not good. You know, like it makes like our state sinful. Like and like the wages of sin is death, right? So like if no one is good but God, then like in a way it makes sense that like there's going to be something wrong about everybody. There's going to be something wrong and sinful about everybody, right? But like I guess the picture I'm trying to paint here is it's like there's this desire to want to like, it feels like there's this desire on YouTube to want to find everything wrong, or find the wrong thing about a person, and not maybe give them like some level of like, you know, credit where credit is due, and instead just be like, oh, I need to find the thing that's wrong with them and expose them for it and make a video about it. Like it feels like there's this desire to just say, even if this person like seems pretty good, we're going to look for the wrong thing and talk about it. Like we're going to find out, you know, like almost like if they're hiding something, we're going to find out, we're going to expose them. You know, it's like, and not everybody necessarily thinks like that, but it's like, it just feels like there's this vibe right now that like, we want to basically kind of show you that we can't have anybody nice, that we can't have any nice things. And we're going to, everybody that seems to be on some level, maybe making some level of good impact, we're going to like, you know, find a way to like expose them and tear them down, or reveal their true reputation, or destroy their reputation, and reveal what the actual truth of the matter is about this person or whatever group or ideology. And so it's kind of like, because it feels like I'm seeing a lot more last couple years or so about this stuff, and it seems that it seems like there's videos that whenever you have a video with the title about there being something different now, or inherently broken about the world or how things are, you tend to get a substantial amount of views on it. So like I want to go to, I'm trying to find the one playlist I have here. Where is it? So for example, if you ever see videos like,
this video is brought to you by Movie. Get a whole month free at Movie.
I'm trying to, no, don't play the ad, or don't play the video. I'm trying to find where it was at. Okay.
So I've just sort of.
Okay. So this right here. So this video, everything just feels different. And I think the thumbnail is, am I broken? And then in brackets, I'm not sure if it says, or is this just what growing up feels like? I could be misquoting what it says in the thumbnail, but it seems like every kind of video that is like that seems to be hitting it off, like seems to be getting like wild views or really performing well on YouTube. Because if you look at the guy's channel, so Once Faded, you look at a bunch of the other stuff here. So this is like more recent stuff. You want to maybe go back a little bit to, yeah, okay, so here's the thing. So this video came out 1 month ago. This is the video I was talking about. This came out 1 month ago. Has over 500,000 views. Now compare it to every other video that you see here. So 17K, 13K, 8.9K, 6K. And like, to be fair, the more recent the video is, understandably, the less amount of views it's going to have. But like, go back a month, roughly. This is the video that got 500,000. Now go back 2 months ago. 3.2K views, 1.4, 815. 2 months, okay. Like, very little views, right? Why Gaming in 2012 was perfect. You see, and even, I feel like even stuff like this is probably starting to catch on more and be like something that people really relate to or resonate with, at least if you're kind of like Gen Z, like elder Gen Z. That's like a term I was talking about probably a few years ago. I kind of coined the term elder Gen Z because I feel like if you were born between the years of like whatever the beginning of Gen Z is, like, is it 98 or 97 or whatever? Whenever that was. So if you were born beginning of Gen Z up until like maybe like 2003, maybe 2004, but I don't know. Like, essentially if you were like almost 10 or a little bit older than 10 before the year 2010, then you kind of have maybe a bit of a different experience and what you grew up with compared to somebody who was born in like 2005 and who was like 5 years old when they were entering the 2010s, because like there was a lot of, like, you could argue a lot of substantial change that happened in the 2000s then into the 2010s with social media taking over and changing kind of the landscape of things. So if you were kind of like, you know, like in your, you know, kind of tweens or early teens or whatever, when gaming was happening in like 2010, 2012, whatever, you could kind of like see the difference of how gaming panned out. Gaming, just one specific example. You could talk about movies, you could talk about culture, whatever, about how things panned out. You could kind of like see how things took a turn for the worst at some point, or that's the vibe. And so then if you like consider all that, it feels like it's really easy to have like that nostalgic mindset of like, oh man, things used to be better, like what happened. So it's this interesting thing that's happening right now where it's like whenever there's like a YouTube video that comes out that's like gaming feels different now, or gaming dying, or gaming used to be better, or what happened to gaming, you know, what happened to us, what happened to everything, you know, I feel numb, I feel different now. Like this one video by this guy that, like, it's the only video that this guy has that I think has over 20K views, and it's the one that has 500,000. Like, it was the one that just took off out of everything that he made. And it's like, I think this might be hitting on a striking a chord with a lot of people, like kind of really striking the nerve of like what the sentiment is right now, where when he says, am I broken, or is this just what growing up feels like? That might be like a very commonly held vibe or train of thought right now. And it's like, why is that? Because I don't recall seeing videos like this pre-2020. Is it just that like COVID and what happened during COVID made everybody kind of more pessimistic? Or is it that it exposed a lot of what's going on and then that made people more pessimistic? Because maybe, like, you know, when the curtain is pulled back and you see the, like, the whole Wizard of Oz story or whatever, and you kind of see how so much of it's like a sham or whatever, like, does that make you just kind of like, whatever, man, everything sucks now or whatever, right? And then you see like how many things are kind of getting worse, and it's like, is there any, like, does it get any better? Like, is it ever going to be as good as the old days? You know, for different people, they might define the old days differently. But it seems like there's this there is this train of thought held, and so it is kind of interesting, because that probably says something when stuff like this is getting that level of views, and it's like, why is that? So maybe collectively people, that something is different now, or something is not right, or something is, you know, different for the worst, and maybe like that's, it just resonates with people. So as per usual, I'm rabbit trailing, but it's hopefully a pretty decent rabbit trail. So what is true alpha? You know, showing them who's boss, or simply being a boss. So the idea of like, you have all this desire to kind of like deconstruct or show something or someone to be a farce, or, you know, a liar, or a fraud, right? And people might feel like we can't have nice things anymore, because that might just be the feeling that is felt, right? And so like, I think what maybe the point of this note is like, there's probably some sort of saying out there, or turn of phrase, where it's like, you know, the real boss in the room doesn't have to tell you that they're the boss, you know, something like that. So like, showing them who's boss, or simply being a boss. So it's like, if people have to show you or prove to you how alpha they are, then are they really alpha, or are they maybe insecure, and that's why they feel the need to, like, you know, puff the chest out and like prove themselves? Like, does that show a certain level of insecurity? Like, is it possible that if you are a true boss in like kind of maybe a slang turn of the word, like not necessarily like a CEO, but a alpha male, so to speak, if you are true alpha, then is that just felt by those around you in the subtleties of how you carry yourself, and how you talk, and how you move, and not in the showboat kind of way of like, look at me, I'm such an impressive individual. But like, is it possible that if you're just have a certain level of confidence about yourself, comfortable in your own skin, you know, just standing on principle, willing to say what needs to be said, you know, like basic stuff, like just if you're willing to just live an upright and honorable life and be unashamed about it, not back down, not quiver about it, if you're just, it's kind of like, it's like the OG generation energy, you know, like my grandpa's generation. I feel like those are the kind of guys that were like, in a way, pretty alpha. Like, nobody's perfect, but it's like the ones that's like, you could just kind of tell, like, in how they carried themselves, like, you know, like maybe like the tough upper lip, kind of like, you know, not crying or whining too much. Like maybe they did, like I know examples, but it's like, or an example at least, but it's like, they, like, even their level of complaining about anything probably pales in comparison to the weakness and softness of the modern generation, you know? So it's like that, like, generation that grew up, or that was born in like the 30s, and you could even go back to like the greatest generation that fought in all the wars, like, is that some true alpha energy? Like the boys that went and died on the beaches for freedom, you know, like, is that the true alpha energy, you know? So like, and it's almost kind of crazy that like people feel the need to try to like puff their chest out and prove that they're true alpha, when you probably had people that just wanted to do what is right and were willing to die for it, and may have not been concerned about showing how quote unquote alpha they were, but they just lived, you know, like they just like, and hopefully lived well, you know, like wasn't about some sort of self-promotion, but maybe it was about like self-sacrifice for what was right, you know. And then you could be reminded of like, you know, Christ is the ultimate example, right? Yeah, so I'll end that there. Like, just like, don't be so concerned about like don't put up a facade. Don't like, and this is probably as much a message to myself as well, where it's like, don't be fake. Don't be fake. Just like be real, right? And yeah, don't waste time doing all this, you know, showing off, showboating, whatever. Like, do what is right.